Hello and welcome to episode 35 of the Indie String Podcast. I'm your host, Kay, also known as Indie String on Ravelry. And now, new Instagram. I joined Instagram, everybody. Come follow me and I'll follow you and we'll share all of our pictures. Pretty exciting. I came into the digital aid when I was in Texas and needed to expand myself a little bit, and I decided to join Instagram. I'm really liking it so far. I don't have a ton of pictures, but I'm just trying to figure it out. So if any of you guys have any advice, just let me know. And so welcome to anybody that's joining us, new and returning viewers. Thanks so much for coming back or giving me a chance. I'm really excited to share what I've been knitting with you all. So let's get started with what I finished. I'm kind of mixing up and jumbling up the categories this week just because of the way everything's laid out. It's easier for me to do my FOs first. So the first thing I finished, which is on my mannequin Jackie, is the Daybreak Shawl by Stephen West. This is actually the second Daybreak that I have knit. I knit my first one in skein yarn, and I wore it, or do wear it, all the time, and so I decided that I would make a second one. The yarn I used for this one is Pigeon Roof in her MCN blend. This is her discontinued blend, which had 10% cashmere in it. The colorway is a light colorway. This one up here is called Ghost, and the other darker colorway is called Charcoal. And so I did buy these, purchase them to be used together. I'm very excited with how it turned out. It was very leery in the beginning, but I think the end product is beautiful. And so I knit this on size 6 Addy clicks, lace clicks, yes. One of their interchangeable sets, and I'm very excited and happy with the end result. When I was knitting it, I was a little leery. The Ghost colorway has cream, 2 or 3 shades of brown, and a purple in it. I thought when I looked at the skeins online, and even when I got them in person and I put them next to the charcoal, I thought that the darker brown was charcoal leaning, and it really wasn't. Once I got the skein wound and I knit a portion of it, I really discovered that absolutely not, it's not. So what are you going to do with that? So I just kind of forged on. The charcoal itself is purple leaning, which basically helps the whole thing work together. And when we got down into the stripes section, the purple of the charcoal and the purple in the yarn really played off each other, and it looks much better than I thought it would in the beginning. So I'm very excited that I stuck with it. I made a hybrid size basically in the pattern. The Daybreak pattern, which by the way is a paid-for pattern, it's about $6 US on Ravelry. It comes in 3 sizes: small, medium, and large. I'm always somehow stuck in the between sizes, between the medium and the large size. Basically is where you fall if you have a skein of any kind of blend, typically of sock yarn. Excuse me, I got something in my throat. So the last 2 times I knit this, I was like, I don't have enough yarn to do the large. So the first time I knit it, I did it to pattern specs and ran out of yarn on the border. So basically pattern specs are that a large is 20 stripes. A medium is 16. So because I knit this once before, I knew I would absolutely not have enough for 20. So I went ahead and did a hybrid size and did 18 stripes. And I did actually have enough charcoal to finish the border as written, which I like better. My other one I had to crop the border because I ran out of yarn. And I didn't want to buy a whole skein for 20 yards. So I just bound off. And while I'm happy with that, I'm happier with the larger border. I think the chunkiness really helps weight it down and it looks nicer. But that's my personal opinion. A few things about it is that I'm very lucky because the charcoal that I bought from Pigeon Roof, it was a discontinued, or basically like a second skein, and it had, I think, 5 joins in it. I knew that when I bought it, so I got it discounted, and I want that going in, but I was afraid because I was going to use yardage on each of those because I cut them out and then I weave in the end separately for that. I don't actually knit that knot inside my yarn. or inside my project. So I'm happy that I had enough to finish. I was really thinking I was going to stretch it, but I did well. And I like the finished object. So this one's staying with me. It's my selfishness coming out for you. I made it for myself as a present. But I did end up finishing another thing. See, not podcasting for a while means I finished more than one thing. So I finished the Dune Shawl by Rose Beck. This is also a P4 pattern on Ravelry. It's $6. I knit this on size 6 needles as well. And what can we say about this? The yarn is a Little Red Bicycle in her MCN Sport in the Vixen colorway. She is no longer dyeing, so it's discontinued. You can probably find it on Distashes. The colorway itself is very beautiful. I have seen Madeline Tasha's chart in person as well, and it's very reminiscent of that colorway. So if you were looking at something kind of like this color, that's where I would probably direct you towards. So I had 500 yards of an Sport, and the pattern called for, I believe it's like 450, maybe it's 480. It's under 500 of Sport, and that was right on because I did have extra yardage, and I believe I had 20 yards extra. I went ahead and I actually made my border my border ribbing section longer. So there's a few things I can say about this pattern. This cable motif in the center is all charted. There is, I believe, no written instructions. In addition to that, in addition to the chart symbols that she uses are unique to her. They're not universal. While in the beginning, when I looked at the chart, it totally annoyed me because it's one of my pet peeves. However, in this instance, I can see why she did that because the symbols that she uses are more intuitive for the cable motif itself. I'm not going to give anything away because it is a pay-for pattern, but they in the end make it easier for you to glance at the pattern and be able to say, okay, I know what I'm doing, instead of seeing a cable crossing and having to refer to a chart. Because in this there are, I believe, six different cables that cross or different ways. They are considered different cables to make this diamond motif in the center. Instead of having to learn basically 6 of them or however many there were, you could easily glance at the chart and you would be able to read it and know exactly what you were doing once you did a repeat or two. I have to say for me that this pattern did not jive well. I mean, it's nothing to the designer. The pattern is wonderful. The finished object's great. But it just never clicked for me where I could go really fast on it. This took me an absorbent amount of time for my knitting. And I don't know why. I mean, it's not that it wasn't enjoyable. A lot of patterns I can look at, and I can look at, you know, 2-3 times, have it semi-memorized, and knit on my way, and then get to a part and have to glance and then continue on. But this was never like that for me. Pretty much most of the time I read the chart. And I just don't know if I didn't have the confidence because the symbols were different or because I don't do a ton of cabling. I was so fearful because there were so many different kind of cables that I was going to miff it up that I basically don't think I trusted myself enough. So I did block it, came out great, and this is going to go in the gift bin. I don't know who's going to get it one day, but someone will. And so I only modified one thing of this pattern. Well, 2 things. I had extra yarn, so I made this ribbing section longer. So in the cable portion of the shawl, you basically go into a 6x3 rib. And in the stockinette pattern, it told you to do the same. However, I don't really like how that looked. You went from a full stockinette section here, and then you would go down to a very heavy ribbing section where you have 6x3. And so to make that not be as dramatic of a shift, I just changed the ribbing to a 3x4. And when I stand away from you, it's much less noticeable that it went into ribbing. The ribbing really did help, even with my modified ribbing. It doesn't want to curl up at all on me like stockinette typically does, so I'm happy with that modification, and I would do it again. But overall, The only other thing is that for a medium, it is in depth, probably a medium. It goes from my neck down to my belly button, and it has fine, but the wingspan for me isn't huge. I'm a bigger person. Try as I might to be smaller, I'm not. And so this is pretty, I shouldn't say tight, but for me it's about as small as I'd like to go, because if I had to go any further, I would have to cinch this up pretty close to my neck to be able to get the ends of the yarn to lay underneath and zip in a coat. So I'm happy to finish two things. I'm very excited that I got them off the needles and ends woven in and blocked and everything. So that's good, and one for the gift pile. So this, what have I been working on? And I got to start new things because I got so much stuff off the needles. But the first thing that I picked back up is I picked back up my, sorry I'm reading, Rock Island shawl by Jared Flood. And I'm knitting this out of Woolen Rabbit Grace, I believe is what it's called. It is a wool silk lace blend. Sorry, I haven't pulled it out in a while. So this is what I knit on the plain. And so this pattern, you knit the border, and then you're going to pick up the border around this yarn over, and then you're going to knit in. So when you last saw this, I was maybe I had it was right here. So that's how much I did. My thought is, I have another plane trip coming up this weekend, is that if I just bring this on the plane, I am forced to work on it without any distractions. So it's a good place for me to work on something. But I got a good amount done. I mean, a few repeats. I probably have at least twice as much as this to go. I have to count how many I've done, but I'm pretty sure I had at least twice as much, and then I'll be able to pick up and start in. This Jared Flood pattern is a paid-for pattern. Again, it's about $6. And it's well written, as all of his patterns are, and it's well done. I just I have to look at the chart. I cannot not look at the chart the whole time I'm knitting this. I haven't memorized it, and it's hard because it's lace and it's not spread out at all. I'm having a more difficult time reading my stitches to know where in the chart I am, unless I'm actually reading the chart every time. The second thing about it is I really don't want to rip back, and I really don't want to rip it out. So I'm trying I'm trying very hard. Let's just start with that. I obviously don't know the English language today, people, but I'm trying very hard not to make a mistake because I hate ripping out lace. So I'm working on that, and I will work more on that this weekend when I go on another plane trip. So we'll talk about that in rants and raves and what's going on with my traveling. The second thing is I started a new project, and I started the Vesper shawl. This is by Wonderling, and I'm knitting it out of, I can't even get it out. See, it's all, see, I can't get it out. This is by, sorry, the yarn itself is Swan's Island Sock, and I am knitting it on size 2 needles. This is a circular infinity cowl, and in the center it basically has 2 parts. The center is stockinette, and then it has an edging on it that edges both sides. This is about 2 pattern repeats. Focus. I really am liking it. It is very, I shouldn't say easy, but it's memorizable, I think, eventually. It will take me a little bit, but I'll memorize it. And the Swan's Island sock, there's a few things. This is the second thing I've tried to knit out of this. So the stuff that's wrapped around that ball was knit and then pulled out. and it actually held up very, very well. And the yarn itself is very soft. It's just a merino sock yarn, but it is delightfully woolly, but without being scratchy or anything. And it's absolutely lovely. So I am knitting this, and I'm very excited about it. I've wanted to knit this pattern since it came out. So we'll hopefully have more done. If it turns out big enough, then it will probably go in the gift bin for my sister. And then when I was knitting on it and I was using this bag, I found that my daughter left me a little souvenir. Isn't that cute? So every now and then I knit with it on because I'm just such a dork. It reminds me of my kid. And then this is my mom's bag that she made. And speaking of that, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about the Christmas in July KAL, which is now finished. So thank you everyone who participated. So we had 27 entries into that KAL, and we had 3 prizes to give away. One was this bag, which is actually, the bag you will be getting is a companion bag to this. My mom made a second one. I said I wanted one. And so you will get this exact matching bag. You will also get 1 skein of yarn, which I have decided will be this. Winter's coming, so let's do some woolly goodness. This is Little Red Bicycle, and this was part of her club, which was about different areas in which she traveled to, and this is off of the Galapagos Islands. This is called Gardner Bay. And it is a 60% merino, 20% alpaca, and 20% silk. It's 270 yards and 115 grams in a worsted weight. So you can make something awesome with this. It's very soft. It's really soft. And it's a lovely color. So we're giving away this and a pattern. So we're starting at the top. I pulled 3 numbers random. You could only win 1 time. Sorry. But you could have as many entries as you wanted, but you could only win 1 prize. So the first one that I pulled was number 8, which is a Tara, maybe. I will flash your names at the bottom because as we've discovered this whole episode, awful at the English language. Number 15, which will win this skein of yarn, is Grandma K. And then the last, number 12, which will win the bag, is Christy Rose. So if you guys want to PM me your addresses, I will get them in the mail and get them sent out to you. Ooh, we're going to have to pause later to pick that up. But thank you to everyone who participated. It was our most entered KAL so far, so I'm very excited. I haven't decided what the next KAL will be about, but I will tell you next week once I have thought of something. It's not because I have so many ideas I can't choose. It's lack of ideas that's kind of gotten me at this point. But we will have another KAL soon. And so what have I been buying? How about we do that? We'll do buying next. So really, I have gotten my club shipments, and I have not been showing you guys my club shipments. So the first club shipment I got is, these are both Hello Yarn, and this one was the June colorway, and it is Falkland, and this is the colorway. So I have been receiving 2 bumps of Hello Yarn, but actually for this next round, after this month, I will go back down to 1. And we'll see how that goes. I might go back up to 2. I love this colorway. It's absolutely beautiful. It's somewhat washing it out, not bad. So I have 2 of these that I got in the mail. And this, which is a 21.24.5 or something like that, micron count merino wool. This is also by Hello Yarn. This colorway in here looks black, but it is really a really dark purple. So this is really, really pretty. I'm excited about it. It's soft as all get out. And that will be an awesome boy color. Really will be. It'll be awesome. So that's what I have been getting. Just basically club shipments. Next, we're going to talk about the shop and all of that jazz. So as I told you guys last time I recorded, I've made the leap into dyeing yarn, and we're going to have our first ever update. I'm so excited. And so for this momentous occasion, we're going to do it on my birthday, August 10th. So I'm going to be 1 year older and open up the shop. I'm very just giddy with excitement to share everything with you guys. There's lots of stuff to come. There's lots of stuff in the works that we have been working on and getting it ready. So I hope you guys come along for the ride. And so this week, as well as over the last probably 2 weeks, I have been swatching. And this is a colorway that actually isn't going to make it in the shop. I was trying to do something and I didn't really like the end result. Someone loves it, just let me know because I have another skein. But this basically, I just wanted to knit some up and show you guys some of the properties of the yarn. So this is the worsted weight. This is the only base we're going to carry right now, and it is Falkland. It's about 200 yards per 100 gram skein, and it is a very true worsted. This is on size 8s. It blocked out beautifully. It's got a nice crimp and halo, and I've kind of beaten this, left it in my purse, put it in the bag when I traveled, my husband's bag with, he actually has tools in there that he travels with and his shoes and everything, and it's held up wonderfully. I've had little to no pilling, and there is a slight halo, but it's not very pronounced. So what I'm going to do next is, and I'll show you next week, is I'm going to start cabling with it, and I'm going to show you how the cables pop. But I just love it. I can't wait to dye myself up enough to knit a sweater out of it. It's very nice. It's against the skin soft, in my opinion. Everything's like in my opinion, right? And the Falkland that I did get to basically produce this yarn has a longer staple. Falkland yarn, or Falkland fiber, is actually not a breed of sheep. It is from a region of the Falkland Islands. And what that really is two-pronged. It's basically a mixture. A lot of times there's merino and Polworth in it. I would anticipate there's probably some of that gives it its softness. In my supplier, basically, there is a good portion of Cordell in it as well. The staple length for this fiber before it was processed is over 5 inches. That longer staple length does a few things. This yarn will be strong, or at least should be on paper, right? But it will be. I beat this to a pulp, and it looks just as good as the day I knit it. So basically, this fiber will be less prone to pilling. Because of the longer staple, those fibers will have a harder time basically leaving their friends and making pills for you. It will be a good sweater yarn. I would say for me it's the ultimate sweater yarn, where I have basically a blend of softness, of loft and bounce, and I have a great sense of durability and great colors, of course. So I hope you guys really enjoy it as well. The second thing with the Falkland Islands is that they have never had to use pesticides. So they have different properties in their sheep. Even though they're merino or Polworth, they have never had to use it because they don't have any natural pests to the sheep on the Falkland Islands. So I will continue to show you different swatches of the yarn. I'm going to take and do some lace in it and do some cables in it, and I'll show you guys those as well so you can see how the yarn reacts to different things that you may want to use it with. And then as always in the dye pots, so I'm going to show you maybe not a color a week, but I did want to show you one of our favorite colors that we have. And in addition to it being a favorite, I got to choose names. So we went through all the yarn. There was big piles, and it was like, I don't know, a knitter's fantasy or crocheters, but basically it was total fantasy. And I had all these piles of all these different colored yarns, and basically we went through and named them. So I'm going to be really honest. I'm super selfish when I name these, and so every name basically means something. A family joke, which we got a lot of those in my family, a lot, or after somebody like obscurely or something like that. So this colorway is called Celery. That is actually making it look a little bit more neon than it is. Now I'm not going to tell you it's not neon. It is very bright, but it is richer in person. It does look like celery. And along with that, I'm going to show you my tags for my yarn. And then I have the back side. I'll flip it, maybe. And then I have the back side as well. So that is my tag, and this is Celery. So Celery is named after my dad. Whenever we always had dinner together. And so there's my mom, my dad, and I have 3 sisters, so there were 6 of us in total. And we'd eat together all the time. And so there's lots of jokes about food in our family, but my dad, whenever we had celery, which was often, you know, celery's a good vegetable, he would eat it and he'd be like, oh, it's my favorite. And everyone knew he was full of malarkey because it's no one's favorite. I'm sorry if celery is your favorite. Congratulations, because you're a better person than me. But you eat celery hopefully slathered in peanut butter, so you don't know you're eating celery. At least in our house, that's how it was. And so my dad's big joke is every time he ate celery, he's like, oh, it's my favorite. So to my dad, this is named Celery for you. And it is my favorite bright color that I have. I love it to death. So we'll see if you guys agree. This will be in the first shop update on August 10th on my birthday. And I hope you guys come and join us. I will announce a time that we're going to update later when we know more. So now we get to talk about rants and raves. So I went to Texas with my husband. I've spent the summer trying to get everything started for Indie String. And I haven't seen my husband a lot. We take my daughter to Michigan every single year. And so my daughter's actually in Michigan with my parents and her cousins, aunts, uncles, the whole kit and caboodle. And so we get some time alone for ourselves. Other than this time in the summer, I don't really get to see my husband by himself. I mean, we are the people who don't do date night. We are the people that are always with our kids. I mean, we're with our child all the time. And that's great, and it's wonderful, and I love her to death, and I wouldn't change it, but that's our choice. However, we do take this time in the summer when we have some time alone to spend time together, go out on dates, go to the movies, and basically do whatever we want. And so he was told he had to go to Texas for his job, and he decided that I should go with him. So we went to Texas, and Texas was fun. It was my first time in Texas. And we flew into Dallas-Fort Worth, and we stayed in Arlington, which is between Dallas-Fort Worth and Dallas. Dallas-Fort Worth and Dallas. It's between Dallas and Fort Worth. And so it was a very nice area. It was really wonderful. I ate my first In-N-Out burger and had dinner with some true Texans and went to many restaurants, went to the movies, and sat by the pool. It was hot. It was over 100 degrees almost every single day we were there except the last day. And so it was quite interesting. It was a change for sure. But I did enjoy it. It was fun. Everybody was wonderfully kind and nice. Unfortunately, I didn't have a vehicle of my own, so the day that I was supposed to go to Madeline-Tosh, which I was about 30 minutes away from, I actually had to have a business dinner. So it was for my husband's work, and that's why we were there, so I really couldn't say no, unfortunately. So I didn't get to go to any yarn stores. And so basically all I did when I was there, I knit. So that was totally fun. So on the way coming back, We didn't get to sit next to each other. The plane was full. And my husband travels all the time, and he is like not a good traveling companion in my estimation. He's fine when we're inside the airports typically, but he gets highly annoyed if anything at all goes wrong because he travels so much. And he said after about the 100th time something goes wrong, you just start to get pissed. So we weren't sitting next to each other, and he was very annoyed by that, but it's fine. It was only like a 3-hour flight, one of them. And so I was sat down. And right after I sat down, to tell you the whole story, because it's just beyond compare. And of course, this stuff happens to me. My husband would say, it always happens to you. It really does. And maybe it's because I just don't have the heart in me to even say anything. So I walk in the plane, and I get the middle seat. The lucky middle seat person. At least I get both armrests. But I'm in the middle seat with 2 strangers. So this really cute, just cute as a button old lady comes in, and I said, do you have the window? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, let me get up. I get up. She's all flustered, and I said, you know, I'll just take your time. There's no one sitting in the outside aisle yet. You know, you probably have a few minutes. Just get yourself however you want it, and then I'll move over. So she got herself buckled in. I'm like, are you okay? And she's like, yeah. So I got myself buckled in, and I sat there. And so she's sitting there, and she starts opening up her bags. So she, of course, I'm sorry, she has a grandma purse that is like this big. It's so big, and it is her purse, not her carry-on. It is, I don't know, she might have her life in that purse because she has got so much stuff in it, right? She opens it up, and she starts taking out a bottle. I'm thinking, what is she doing? But whatever, none of my business. She starts spraying stuff everywhere. And not like perfume, but it was like incense. And it's not something that I would say smelled wonderful or beautiful or anything. And I thought, well, maybe she's just going to spray like her, right? Because number one, I could have allergies. I could be allergic to whatever you're doing, or anybody else in this plane could. Number two, I was like, did I smell? So I was like going, and I'm like, no, I don't smell. I don't smell. It's not me. And no one else around me smelled. I couldn't figure out why she's doing this. And so she like puts down the bottle, and I'm like, okay. She kind of sprayed between her seat and the wall. And I'm like, okay. And you could tell she was thinking about something, right? So those 3 sprays weren't enough. She sprayed above her, all around, all inside. She was spraying me with this dang stuff. I don't even know what it was. And finally I just turned to her and looked at her like, are you freaking joking me? And she put it away and just got all huffy and turned. So I was like, well, that was really weird. Maybe she needed to do it for some unknown reason. Just thank Lord I'm not allergic to it, and just be quiet, right? So I'm sitting there, and everybody's on the plane, and we're delayed. We were delayed 40 minutes for paperwork. So we had been sitting there for 25 minutes with a full plane. The guy behind me, man, did he think he was an important individual? More important than the rest of us, obviously, because he was traveling in coach with the rest of us lowly people, and he needed to make a phone call. So he had an appointment. Okay, got it. And he needed to call her to say that he would be running a little late. So he called the lady. As he's on the phone with her, the cabin door is obviously shut at this point. We are taxiing down. We're taxiing to the runway. So he hangs up with her. Everyone thought, okay, whatever. No one said anything. So then he gets a phone call. Do you think that he ignores that phone call and shuts off his phone? Well, no, he doesn't, because he's important. He takes that phone call right there, and he talks to I don't know who it was on the other line, about work. It was about work. At least I can say that. So he keeps on going, well, you know, I don't have that much time. Well, you need to void that out. Well, you know, that's why this is happening. So anyways, after about 5 minutes on the phone, and this man is not being quiet. It's not like he's trying to whisper in his phone. No, he is loud. People from 2, 3 rows away are turning around trying to figure out who is being so obnoxious. Obnoxious. So then he gets off the phone. And you think he turns off his phone, then at this point, we're at the end of the runway. We are ready to take off, and he calls someone else. And he's talking, and they're like, oh, we got to sit down, and, they're making their announcements to sit, and we're starting to take off. And he is being so loud on his phone. And finally, someone says, you're not allowed to be on the phone. We are currently taking off. And he goes, well, yeah, I know that, but this is important. And the guy goes, you are being loud. Everybody on this plane has turned and given you disgusting, dirty looks. You are not more important than anybody else. You need to turn off your phone. And so he goes to the person on the phone. He goes, I have to go. There's a rude people. I was this close. Right before that guy said something, I was going to turn around. And I never turn around. I was like, come on. So the entire flight, he's quiet. He's pissed. He's just stewing back there right behind me. I swear. So then we get off the plane. We're starting to get off the plane. And we have to go get our bags. And he has an assistant. And I'm right in front of them. Okay? And he pushes his assistant into me once. And I kind of turn around. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe it was an accident. I didn't even have like a creepy face on or I'm an annoyed face or anything. Maybe it was an accident, whatever. She pushes me 3 more times. And finally, I just turned around and I pointed to the line in front of me. I'm like, where am I supposed to go? I can't hurry this up, people. And my husband was like, why do you always get those people? I sat next to wonderful people that were friendly and nice. And I'm like, nope. I sat next to grandma with a fragrancy problem and a very important man behind me. And that's all I got my whole flight. But I did get to knit a lot. So this week, what's going on this week? I'm back in my normal recording place, which is exciting. But next week, I'm going to try to record right before I leave, and it might be a little delayed. I'm leaving on Saturday to fly to Michigan to go get my daughter again, and then we are going to drive back to Oregon. So I will be in and out of pockets for quite a long time. It will take us at least 2 weeks. I would say we're going to be gone 2.5 to 3 weeks. So we will fly back, and in the meantime, I will record some stuff ahead of time to be able to show you guys. And maybe I'll do smaller episodes such as like a tour of the dye studio space, which is not in my home. So I'm not dyeing out of my home. I actually do have a completely separate dedicated dyeing space. And show you guys all of that and some other things as well. I hope that you consent to join me for my birthday update. I'm so excited. And you have a wonderful week full of knitting. So knit with some love, you guys, and I hope to see you soon. Bye!